All right, this is the beginning of a series of meditations for self-help. They're my reflections on these meditations for self-help by Ernest Holmes in his book, The Science of Mind. So I'll be sharing these meditations. They're like affirmative statements, and I have found them to be profoundly infilling and enlightening and strengthening for my core. The very center of my being is firmed up, enriched, empowered. My mind gets clear, organized. I feel strengthened, focused. The words are very penetrating. They're very strengthening is the word I'm looking for. They strengthen my mind, and in my sharing, it is my joy and pleasure to know that it's going to do the same for you. And I'd love to hear that from you if that is the effect that you're having. But I'm positive that these words, they're super powerful, designed really to clear away the clutter of self-limiting thoughts, self-deprecating thoughts, thoughts of attack, of blame, of guilt, of condemnation. And as I reflect on these sentences, I notice the contrast that it creates against other thought patterns that may be lurking, that may not even necessarily be visible in my ordinary conscious waking state. But as I read these reflections and and really absorb them, I guess I kind of run them through my mind multiple times, I start to see in my memory places where there was the contrast, the opposite of these affirmative statements. And so it's almost like these sentences come into my mind and begin to clear out the clutter and begin to overrule the negative thinking. Now, I believe that all of us have some form of negative thinking somewhere inside of ourselves, no matter how positive, optimistic, and powerful we are. We go through things, people say things, we hear things on the news all day long. We're being bombarded with information, and not all that information is actually the type of thinking we want in our minds. And how we think determines how we feel, and how we feel and think determines how we act and how we behave, and how we experience the world around us, is determined by the kind of content that's in our minds, the type of programming and listening that we have already sitting in there based on our experiences and things that we've learned, the conclusions we form. So these thoughts are designed to really clear the clutter of the mind and to build up and to firm up in you the you that you are, a spiritual being capable of causing thoughts, causing emotion, and causing action that produces the results that you want inside of your life. So this is the first reflection I'll be sharing, or meditation for self-help, as he calls it, and I'll share a little bit about my thoughts about it, what I'm getting, but I would love for you to affirm the sentence for yourself after me, with me. So for example, today I'm going to be sharing the self-help meditation titled No Condemnation. And the first sentence is, there is no condemnation in me nor operating through me. There is no condemnation in me nor operating through me. Now, the way I work this is I'll repeat the sentence multiple times in my mind after saying it aloud. There is no condemnation in me nor operating through me. So go ahead and repeat that out loud and then reflect on it for a moment. There is no condemnation in me nor operating through me. There is no condemnation in me nor operating through me. And just allow the sentence to permeate your consciousness. Allow it to cycle through any memories, any thoughts that you have. There is no condemnation in me nor operating through me. Allow the words to work their way into your mind. Now, there may be other things that have worked their way into your mind over the years, things that have been said to you that weren't so constructive and positive. Let this sentence in, absorb it. There is no condemnation in me nor operating through me. Allow those words into the depths of your soul, the very innermost parts of your consciousness, and they begin to take root in the subconscious mind, and it becomes a consistent pattern of thinking. So imagine if you're consistently thinking, there is no condemnation in me, nor operating through me. Imagine if that's a continuous thought you have running day in and day out. There's no condemnation in me, nor operating through me. Okay? I'm going to move on to the next sentence, which is, I am free from the belief of the thought of men. I am free from the belief of the thought of men. Go ahead and repeat that and just kind of play with it a little bit. I am free from the belief of the thought of men. I am free from the belief of the thought of men. Now, this sentence might need to be defined a little bit or understood a little bit in this context, that the thought of men that I believe he's referring to is those thoughts of men or humanity, of all human beings, that aren't connected with their divine mind. When I say divine mind, I mean the mind of origin, right? The mind of origin, assuming that the original essence of life itself is whole and complete and pure and perfect, and that the mind of men or of human beings that he's referring to is the mind that is disconnected, unaware. It's working against itself. So there are belief patterns and thoughts within inside of human beings that do work against that human being. So I am free from the belief or thought of men. Means you're separating yourself and your thinking from the beliefs, the limiting beliefs of humankind that you have run into, the human race. Okay, so wherever there was a limiting belief, self-deprecating thought, self-sabotaging pattern, you're saying, I am free from the belief of the thought of men. Okay, move on to the next sentence. I walk my own way, immune to all suggestion of condemnation. I walk my own way, immune to the suggestion of condemnation, or immune to all suggestion of condemnation. So just say that out loud. I walk my own way, immune to the suggestion of all condemnation, or immune to all suggestion of condemnation. All condemnation has been removed from your mind. And you walk your own way. I walk my own way. We walk our own way, immune to all suggestion of condemnation. The next sentence is, only those thoughts can enter my mentality which I allow to enter. Only those thoughts can enter my mentality which I allow to enter. Go ahead and say that out loud and reflect on that for a minute. Only those thoughts can enter my mentality which I allow to enter. Only those thoughts can enter my mentality, which I allow to enter. All right, so protecting your mind. Imagine that this is it. So this is giving you the ability to reject thoughts that you do not want in your mind. Okay, there are a lot of words expressed from people that are not constructive. I was speaking to someone yesterday who was speaking very negatively about themselves, their life, their future, and I was listening, and I am empathic and sensitive and caring and acknowledging, and sometimes people just need to say what they are going through. It doesn't mean they're always going to be there, but I do not want to let those thoughts enter my mind and take root in my mind as if they're my thoughts. And so these types of sentences remind me that I do not have to let their thoughts into my mind to take root in my mind, that they would become my beliefs or my thoughts about life. So here's a couple more. I do not and cannot receive adverse thoughts. It's another strengthening sentence. I do not and cannot receive adverse thoughts, and only those thoughts which are helpful and life-giving can find entrance to my house. Only those thoughts which are helpful and life-giving can find entrance to my house. All right, so there's no condemnation. It closes with, there is no condemnation. So again, today, these are reflections for you to absorb internally. You can go through the video again, repeat the sentences, reflect on the sentences, absorb them, and be strengthened by them. All right, I'll be producing more. Leave a comment. Let me know how you liked it. All right, blessings.